20?
Not quite 20. We actually have 13 islands. We actually have 9 inhabited, 7 main islands. The main islands that we have is La Gomera, La Palma, El Hierro, Lanzarote, Fuerteventura and Teneriffe, which is the main island. Now this is actually the largest of the islands, but although it looks big, it's actually only 55 by 85 kilometres, so not even miles. But as you've seen, all the windy roads that we go up and what have you, it makes the island seem a lot bigger. Now basically the main industry used to be farming. Now, rough guess of what the main things they used to farm on the island were? Any idea why they actually cover them with the netting?
Yeah.
Go on then.
Because they eat them before they arrive.
No.
And there is also a reason, so you can see on the color of the net and what state it is. That's what they use in other islands.
No, that's
to keep flying monkeys off.
Pardon?
To keep off the flying monkeys.
Somebody actually said the other day to keep the donkeys from eating them. Can you imagine packs of wild rabid donkeys going around eating all the bananas?
The birds.
No, they actually use the netting to save water. It protects them from the sun, and it also protects them from insects, tourists, donkeys, flying monkeys. Protects them from everything. Now each plant, believe it or not, depending on which type of year it is, takes between 8 and 25 litres of water per plant per day. So that's a hell of a lot of water. So what actually happens is once the sun hits, all the water condenses, sticks to the roof of the netting, and then drops back down, so they don't actually waste any of the water. So that used to be the main industry on the island. The main industry we have now is you guys, terrorism. Sorry, tourism. Please apologise, tourism. Now actually the main tourism started on this side, over in Puerto de la Cruz, back in the 50s and the 60s. But the main income now for the tourism is down here on the south and the west coast of the island, and a little bit up here on the north. We actually average between 7 and 9 million tourists per year, which is quite a lot of tourists. Right, the route we are taking today, we obviously started off here in the port in Santa Cruz. We headed up this way, up through the motorway, where we turned off alongside the North Airport. Anybody remember the North Airport? Yes. Home of the world's worst ever air disaster? Yeah. Very bad. 1977 it was, to be precise. Right, we've headed up here through the forest of La Esperanza, and we have now stopped here at the Mirador, which means once we're finished you'll be able to look down there and get a nice little view over La Esperanza through the forests. Now the forests are very important to us on this island for the main reason. This is where we get all our water from. 30% of all our water comes from desalination. Now desalination is a very expensive process. So all they do is, like you say, 30% of it, take the seawater, purify it, and then we can use that. The rest actually comes from the trees and the forests. As you can see, the clouds that we came up through earlier are what they call, the locals actually call a horizontal rain. What happens is the hot winds coming off the Sahara, off the coast of Africa, sorry, and once it hits the island in the cold air, it starts to rise. Once it rises, it starts to become damp clouds. Not necessarily rain, but just damp clouds. And as it passes through the forest, it clings to all the needles, then it actually drops down. Now the tree takes around about 20% of the water, because that's all it needs to survive. But then what it does is it just soaks through until it gets to what we call galleries, which are giant underground reservoirs. To extract that water, they actually drill through the side of the mountain to actually get into them. And then that's how they extract the water, send it off to bottling plants, and then obviously we distribute it around this island and around